Well, it finally happened. You woke up, and it hit you. The holidays are over. The lights are coming down, the radio is going back to playing the latest in a long line of hit singles that all sound like the same song about going to the club to get crunk, and the long, grey, dull, wet, cold, depressing months of January and February stretch out before you. Wouldn't it be nice if the holidays didn't come once a year, but every week? On Jacob Marley is Dead, we believe that the holidays shouldn't just be here and gone, but that they should remain in our hearts all the year. That is why each week we watch, review, discuss, and compare one of the many, many, many TV and film adaptations of Charles Dickens' classic novella, A Christmas Carol. Join us as we spiral a Groundhog Day-esque existential nightmare by reviewing the same story every week in perpetuity, and decide which adaptations we see in our Christmas future, and which ones should definitely remain in our Christmas past. Subscribe to Jacob Marley is Dead on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Jo.
And this is Crime Divers.
Hello everybody, welcome back.
Hello.
So before we get started, I thought, since last time you read a review out, so I thought I would read a review out this time.
Another review.
So I'm just going to have a wee look through. I'm just going to grab one. Right, okay. This one is... The title is Dive On In.
Dive On In. That's a good title.
And this is from Melanie.
Hi, Melanie.
Oh, Melanie, this is Mel from the podcast Mask of Sanity. She's got... I'll give her a shout out because her podcast is really good. I really enjoy listening to her. So
Cool.
Yeah, she said, I was hooked, subscribed and obsessed within 5 minutes of the first episode I listened to. There are so many different cases out there covered by tons of different shows. What makes this show stand out is that the amazing hosts talk about cases I've never heard of. The give and take between Jill and Laura really makes each episode. It's natural and informative, but absolutely a joy to listen to.
Oh, we had a joy, aren't we? Yeah, sometimes we're a joy.
Thanks, Mel.
Thanks.
So, we're in for a treat today because it's a Laura-sode.
Hey, it's always a treat when it's a Laura.
And where in the world are we today?
We're actually somewhere where we haven't been.
Oh.
I know, it's a bit... Well, not your everyday one, but it's a place called Aruba.
Oh, yeah, Aruba. Oh, is that not where Rachel was supposed to go on her honeymoon with Barry and Friends?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah. Yeah, that could be it. But yeah, Aruba. It is a little island in the Caribbean Sea. Mm-hmm. But a little fact for you, because it's actually quite close to America, people assume it's like a part of like an America.
Right.
But it's not.
Okay.
It's actually in the Kingdom of the Netherlands. So it's actually a Dutch-owned country.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So what's the case called?
It is called Vanished.
Oh, well, that gives an idea what it's about.
Just a little bit.
Okay, so shall we dive in?
Let's dive into this one. Okay, so Natalee Ann Holloway was born on the 21st of October 1986. She was the first of two children born to Dave and Elizabeth Holloway in Memphis, Tennessee. So she is actually American.
Right.
Her parents sadly divorced in 1993, and Natalee and her younger brother were raised by their mother. In the year 2000, Elizabeth remarried to a man called George Jug Twitty. So no.
Huh? Jug Twitty, is that a real name?
Well, that's his name. George, in inverted commas, Jug Twitty.
Oh.
But whatever. We don't really...
So does that mean his nickname?
Must
Jug.
be his nickname. But we don't really refer to him too much, so it doesn't really matter. He was an Alabama businessman, so the family moved to Mountain Brook, Alabama. Natalee had done very well at school, and she graduated with honours in May 2005 from Mountain Brook High School. She was a member of the National Honor Society and the dance school dance squad and participated in other extracurricular activities. Natalee was scheduled to attend the University of Alabama on a full scholarship where she planned to pursue a pre-med track, which I did have to look up what it was because I have no idea what that was. But basically, I think it's basically like a course that you can do before you become a full-blown medical student.
Right.
So it's maybe something like just to give you some extra experience or whatever, and then you become a full-blown medical student.
Right.
So that's what she was due to do.
Okay.
So on Thursday the 26th of May 2005, Natalee and 124 fellow graduates from Mountain Brook High School arrived in Aruba for a 5-day unofficial graduation trip. So I think that's quite a dumb thing in America, isn't it? Where they go.
Is that like an official school trip thing, or is it just like pals? Because like 124 people's a lot.
There was school people there because they actually the teenage, they were all accompanied by 7 chaperones.
All right.
So they weren't just it was a school trip, I suppose, but for some reason it was called an unofficial graduation trip. But according to one of the chaperones, who was a teacher named Bob Plummer, the chaperones met with the students each day to make sure everything was fine. So whilst on the trip, the students engaged in wild partying, a lot of drinking, and a lot of room switching. Mm-hmm. They must have caused quite a stir because the Holiday Inn that they were staying at, they'd already said that they weren't welcome back next year.
Okay, well, sounds like they were having fun then.
So obviously they must have been causing a right riot there. Natalee was quite a drinker, and she drank all day, every day. She started every morning drinking cocktails, and she must have been pretty bad if she didn't show up for breakfast on 2 mornings. 2 students said that the drinking was kind of excessive, so she obviously was partying quite wildly.
That sounds like me back in the day. I definitely wouldn't be showing up for breakfast.
No, probably not. So would you even show up for breakfast now?
No, but not for drinking, just because I'm old and tired.
Yeah, that's what I like. Oh dear. So anyway, on the 30th of May, Natalee went to a nightclub called the Orangeisted. She was seen leaving at 1:30am by her classmates. She got into her car with 17-year-old Joran van der Sloot. I've got a few names here that
At least I apologise at the start of my episodes.
Well, I shouldn't struggle too much, but you never know. Anyway, he was a Dutch honours student who lived in Aruba as he was attending the International School of Aruba. His 2 friends, brothers 21-year-old Deepak Kalpo, who was the owner of the car, and 18-year-old Satish Kalpo, also got in the car, and this was the last time that Natalee's classmates saw her.
Ooh.
So as you can imagine with the title...
She's vanished.
Yes. So later on that day, Natalee was due to fly home, but she didn't obviously appear for her flight. Her packed suitcase and her passport were found at the Holiday Inn, so she hadn't taken any of her belongings or anything like that. The Aruban authorities were called, and they searched for Natalee all over the island and surrounding waters, but they didn't find her. So at this point, she's just vanished, basically. Immediately after finding out that their daughter had missed her flight home, Natalee's mother and stepfather actually flew with friends to Aruba. Mm-hmm. As soon as they got there, they started doing their own detective work, and within 4 hours, they had given the Aruban police a name, which was Joran van der Sloot, which we know
who she got in the car with.
Which we know who was with Natalee, left the club with. Elizabeth said that the night manager at the Holiday Inn hotel had given her after recognising him on a videotape. I'm not really sure where or what the videotape was from, though it doesn't say.
Right.
So I don't actually know what this man's watched and given his name and known that he was with Natalee. I don't know how that's come about, but somehow it obviously did. So the Twitties and their friends went with the police to the home of Van der Sloot. He initially denied knowing Natalee's name when asked, but then he did tell them the following story, which was backed up by Deepak Kapol, who was also at the house. Van der Sloot said that they drove Natalee to the California lighthouse area of Arashi Beach. I don't know if I said that right. Because she wanted to see sharks. They later dropped her off at her hotel around 2am. According to Van der Sloot, Natalee fell as she got out of the car, but refused his offer of help. He also said that as they drove away, Natalee was approached by a dark man in a black shirt similar to those worn by security guards.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, a much bigger search began. Hundreds of volunteers from Aruba and the US actually joined in the effort. The Aruban government even gave thousands of civil servants the day off to help with the search. So it was a big, massive search, Dutch Marines did extensive searches of the shorelines. Aruban banks actually raised $20,000 and provided other support to aid volunteer search teams. So it was quite a big search. I don't know how big the island is itself, but I mean, obviously, there was quite a lot of resource there to do a big search.
Good.
So Elizabeth, so I'll call her Beth because she gets called Beth, Natalee's mum. She was provided with housing initially at the Holiday Inn and actually in the same room as where her daughter had stayed, which I thought was a bit weird.
Well,
I don't know why you would put maybe too
maybe
much
they didn't
for
know
her.
how to clean it.
Well, for like,
Well, does that not make sense? Like,
I don't know.
we'll just put her in there rather than like cleaning a whole new room for her. And like, if they've got other guests and
Well, maybe, but then I was thinking maybe it would be, they'd maybe like search it for clues and stuff, and they wouldn't want it being tampered with, and somebody else being in
maybe
there.
they'd already done that.
Well, maybe. I mean, there was
before.
nothing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway.
I just didn't think it was weird, but obviously you did. So.
Yeah, well, I thought it was weird. So yeah, she's within the same room as her daughter stayed, and then later she actually did go and stay at the presidential suite at the nearby Wyndham Hotel. So she must have moved at some point. I don't know why. There was no reasons given as to why she went to a different hotel. So the hotel security camera footage was checked on the night that Natalee disappeared, but she didn't actually appear on any nighttime footage in the reception area because I'm assuming there obviously wasn't cameras all over the hotel, but in the reception area she didn't appear on any of the cameras at all. But there actually was question over whether the cameras were actually working properly that night. I don't know.
Why is it whenever anything happens, cameras are never working right?
I never understand that. I'm like, well, why aren't they working? And why is it always a coincidence that when something happens, they're conveniently not working? It was also said that Natalee didn't even have to go through the reception to get to her room. So
so then she might not have been seen then because she went
exactly. So she might still went to her room but not seen on the camera. The search for physical evidence was extensive, but did throw up a few false leads. For example, a possible blood sample was taken from Deepak Kapur's car. It was tested, but determined not to be blood. So I don't actually know what it was, but it wasn't blood. So there was some arrests made. So on the 5th of June, police actually arrested Nick John and Abraham Jones. They were both former security guards from the nearby Allegro Hotel. They were arrested on suspicion of murder and kidnapping. The police never came out and actually said why they'd arrested them, but reports believed it had been connected to what Van der Sloot and the Kalpoe brothers had said in their initial statement, because remember they'd said when they dropped her off...
Security guys.
So they think that's why they've then been arrested, because reports also said that these two guys were known for picking up women at various hotels.
Alright.
And at least one of them had a prior incident with the law. But both men were released on the 13th of June without being charged. So clearly they didn't think they had anything to do with it. So on the 9th of June, Van der Sloot and the Kalpoe brothers were arrested on suspicion of murder and kidnapping. The three of them had been the main focus of the investigation, which of course makes sense because they were the last ones that were going to have seen Natalee alive, so I would assume that would be normal. Investigators had been surveilling them, telephone wiretapping, and even monitoring their email. The police indicated that pressure from the Holloway family had caused them to prematurely stop their surveillance and detain the three suspects. So clearly we're getting a lot of pressure from Natalie's family, so they've decided to arrest the three guys. As the investigation continued, the Aruban Minister of Justice falsely indicated that Natalee was dead. Ooh. And that the police knew where her body was. He later retracted the statement, saying he was a victim of a misinformation campaign. So that, at this point she's still missing.
Exactly. That's not good.
Well, I know. So that was totally reported that she was dead when clearly, at this point
there was no
evidence, to say that she was dead. Was. On June the 17th, the sixth person was actually arrested, and he was later identified as disc jockey Steve Gregory Groves. The police told the media that Groves was detained based on information from one of the other three detainees. Van der Sloot's father was also arrested and brought in for questioning, but both they were released as well. So to me, a lot of this is like, the three guys, they obviously kept spitting off things, and then the police were going and arresting all these people based on what they were saying.
Yeah.
But then clearly there was no evidence to keep any of these other people, so...
Which makes it sound that they're trying to blame everybody else.
Yeah, but I just thought it was quite trusting of the police to go, oh, I'm taking on board what you've said, so they're going to go and...
But then they maybe had other reasons
True.
to arrest them that obviously we don't know about.
Yeah, I don't really know. But anyway, so at this point, the three boys who were still in custody changed their stories. All three said that Vandersloot and Natalee were dropped off at the Marriott Hotel beach near the fisherman's hut. Vandersloot said he did not harm Natalee but left her on the beach. Vandersloot then called Deepak Kapoor to tell him that he was walking home and also sent him a text 40 minutes later. At some point during the interrogation, Vandersloot told a third story that he was dropped off at home and Natalee was driven off by the Kapoor brothers. So there's quite a lot of different versions here.
Well, if the story keeps changing, then they're not telling the truth.
Exactly. I mean, the police didn't believe the third story at all, as Vandersloot only said that when he realised that the two brothers were trying to point the finger more at him. So they did actually believe that Vandersloot and Natalee had been dropped off at the Marriott Hotel.
Right.
Following a hearing before a judge, the Kapoor brothers were released, but Vandersloot was detained for another 60 days.
Oh, wow.
The search for Natalee continued, with a few people coming forward with information, but nothing really helped with a breakthrough. The Holloways actually offered $175,000 for her safe return. The reward was increased after 2 months for information leading to the location of her remains. So later on, they obviously were more than finding her alive. They were thinking, maybe she is dead, so they'd offer more money. The Kapoor brothers were actually rearrested on the 26th of August, along with another suspect, 21-year-old Freddie Arambitz. He was suspected of taking photographs of an underage girl and having inappropriate physical contact with the same girl. This was supposed to have taken place before Natalee disappeared, and Vandersloot and the Kapoor brothers were supposedly involved in the incident. So I don't really know why he was arrested, because if it was before the incident, I don't know what he would have had to done about it, to be quite honest, but he was. But Vandersloot's mother stated it's a desperate attempt to get the boys to talk, but there is nothing to talk about. While no public explanation was given for the Kapoor's arrest, the police later said it was an unsuccessful attempt to pressure the brothers into confessing. So basically they want to rearrest them to see if they can put more pressure on them to confess to something. So on September the 3rd, all 4 suspects were released despite attempts by the prosecution to keep them in custody. They were released on the condition that they remained available to the police, but on the 14th of September, so only a week or so later, all restrictions were removed, so it didn't really last long.
So then
they could basically go and do it.
Okay.
So that was that. So in the months following his release, Vandersloot then gave several interviews that explained his version of events. The most notable interview was the one that he gave to Fox News over 3 nights in March 2006. During the interview, Vandersloot said that Natalee wanted to have sex with him, but he didn't because he didn't have a condom. He said that Natalee wanted to stay at the beach, but he had school to go to in the morning. He said he was picked up by Satish Kapoor and at about 3 a.m. and left Natalee sitting on the beach. Kapoor's lawyer had said that Kapoor had gone to sleep and had not returned to pick Vandersloot up. So they didn't, they were refuting
somebody's
that.
lying then.
Exactly. Vandersloot also said he was ashamed to have left a young woman alone on the beach, even though she had asked to do so. He said he had not been truthful at the time because he was convinced Natalee would turn up.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that, you would be ashamed of leaving a girl, because it doesn't look good saying that, I left a girl on the beach.
Yeah, I get that.
And then, if you didn't have anything to do with it, then saying, I thought she would turn up.
Well, that's true. I know. So, I mean... Yeah.
That's a reasonable explanation for that.
That part, yeah.
Yeah, if you were innocent.
Yeah, if you were innocent, yeah. The police said at one point that they thought Natalee had not been murdered, but probably died from alcohol or drug poisoning, and someone later hid her body. But Natalee's family denied that she used drugs. But I don't know how they could 100% deny, because...
No, you don't know what your kids are up to.
Exactly. I mean, I know you don't maybe she doesn't seem to be like that, but I mean, if she was on this wild sort of partying, drinking, she was getting involved with the,
She might not usually use drugs, but...
Well, exactly. I mean, she could have had an accidental overdose or something of it.
You just don't know. You can't 100% say that she wasn't taking drugs, because she might have never took drugs before, but she could have for the first time that night. Well, exactly. So you can't 100%.
I know, but they didn't that she used drugs, so they didn't like that reason.
Well, that's understandable, isn't it? I mean, nobody wants to think of their kid as
exactly
doing that.
I know. So in April 2007, the Dutch National Police actually took over the investigation, because let's say it's a Dutch island, or it belongs to them. And also in April, Van der Sloot and a reporter released a book called The Case of Natalee Holloway. In the book...
Him and his lawyer, did you say?
Yeah, no, so... a reporter.
Oh, a reporter.
A reporter, sorry, yeah. So, because obviously nobody's been, charged for anything, do they? I mean, she's still missing at this point.
So, I'm sorry, but you got accused for it.
Yeah.
And then you decide to profit off it, of this young girl's disappearance.
Yeah.
By writing a book. No!
So the book was called The Case of Natalee Holloway, and in the book, Van der Sloot gave his version of events on the night Natalee disappeared. And in it, he admits to and apologises for his lies, but he still maintains his innocence.
Right, okay.
So as the Dutch police had reopened the investigation, they did new searches on Van der Sloot and the Calpo brothers' houses. And the three men were again arrested in November, but this time on suspicion of involvement in manslaughter and causing seriously bodily harm that resulted in the death of Natalee. Another search on the island had been launched at this time as well. But this time they searched further out at sea, but again nothing turned up. So again the Calpo brothers were released without charge on the 30th of November, and Van der Sloot was again released on the 7th of December due to the lack of evidence. So I mean, they've been arrested quite a few times.
Do you know what I'm wondering though? Is how can, when they're being arrested, where are they coming up with the charges? Mm-hmm. If they're saying, what was it, manslaughter?
Yeah, and then it was, because first time it was kidnapping and murder.
Yeah.
And then the second time it was manslaughter and bodily harm, I think, wasn't it? Seriously bodily harm.
But how can they make, say, those charges because there's not a body?
Well, exactly.
So where is that coming from?
Yeah.
And, why...
I know, I didn't understand, because there's nothing... At this point, she's still nowhere to be seen. They haven't, obviously...
So surely it would just be, we're arresting you on suspicion of...
in connection with the disappearance?
Yeah, a disappearance. Where are they getting the manslaughter? Then
exactly.
You've got kidnapping, you've got this, you've got that, and it's
there's no body, there's no evidence at the minute. I mean, all they know is that Natalie's disappeared. She's vanished into thin air. They cannot find her, so they don't know whether she's been murdered. They don't know how she's died.
So,
they don't know if she's come to any harm.
Yeah, and why change the charges? Surely the charge would just be the same the whole time, unless you're not allowed to... No, you must be allowed to rearrest somebody on the same charge. Surely.
Well, I think so, yeah. I think you could rearrest somebody. But that's what I don't understand. I mean, to me, at this point, they should be arrested in connection with her disappearance.
Well, that's nothing's changed.
No.
Because she's disappeared... Mm-hmm. And that's all they know, is that she has disappeared. They don't know. They have no idea what's happened to her. So, as I said,
I mean, all they know is what they've been told by these boys as well.
Yeah. So, where is the names of those charges coming from?
I have no idea. It doesn't.
And why have they changed?
It doesn't. It doesn't say. Unfortunately,
that's annoying.
I know. So he was released again due to lack of evidence. So on 18th of December that year, the case was officially declared closed. The prosecution indicated that they would have a continued interest in the three men. It was said later that unless a body was found in the bathroom of one of these kids, there was no way in hell they could arrest them anymore. So somebody had obviously said that.
Right.
Basically, unless the body turns up, there's no way that they can be arrested again for this, because...
Well, I get that.
They've been arrested 3 times now, and
they've got nothing on them.
They've got nothing on
them.
Yeah.
So that's understandable.
Exactly. So on the 31st of January 2008, a Dutch crime reporter, Peter R. de Vries, claimed that he had solved the case. He said he would tell all on a special television programme on Dutch TV on the 3rd of February. On the 1st of February, the Dutch press reported that Van der Sloot had made a confession. Van der Sloot said he had told the person what they wanted to hear and denied any involvement. That same day, the Aruba prosecutor's office announced the reopening of the case.
Right.
So the broadcast, which aired on the 3rd of February, 2008, including footage from hidden cameras and microphones in the vehicle of Patrick van de Erm, who was a Dutch businessman, which, by the way, I watched this.
Right.
I actually watched this. He was an ex-convict who had gained van der Sloot's confidence. So in the video, van der Sloot was seen smoking marijuana and saying that he was with Natalee when she began convulsively shaking, then became unresponsive. Van der Sloot said that he attempted to revive her without success. He said he then called a friend who told van der Sloot to go home and who disposed of the body. An individual who was supposed to be the friend that he was talking about, he has actually denied van der Sloot's account, saying he was at a school in Rotterdam at the time. But I watched this video, and in the video, like, he just seemed so cocky. Like, to me, I was like, you fully well know what's happened. Like, the way that he was talking to this guy, and he was kind of like smirking and laughing. And I think he was actually like, he came across, because I think at one point he did say that he actually couldn't believe how well it turned out for him. So he was like almost gloating the fact that
that he'd done something and got away with it.
Yeah, basically, that's what was said. And I was like, how can you like sit there so brass and like be like that? But I mean, he was just like chatting away to this guy like he was his friend and just basically telling him all these details, obviously in Dutch, but it was translated.
Yeah.
But he was just so cocky and so like proud of himself, and I just like looking at him, I just honestly I could have like punched his face. He had one of those faces, and it was just But yeah, so the Aruban prosecutor's office attempted to actually get another arrest warrant for van der Sloot based on the tapes that they'd seen, but a judge denied the request. So, I mean, this guy had basically been saying all this on this video that had been aired on TV, but yet that wasn't enough to think, yeah, you know what, you have got something to do with this, and arrest him again.
Because if they haven't got like physical evidence,
I know they've only got on the tape, I suppose.
Yeah.
But so the prosecutor appealed the denial, but the appeal failed. The appeals court said that the statements on the tape were inconsistent with evidence in the case and were insufficient to hold van der Sloot. So, I mean, if that's not enough, then tell me what is. Van der Sloot met with it. I actually did meet with the Aruban investigators and denied that what was said on the tape was true, saying that he was under the influence of marijuana at the time. But I'm like, even if you were under the influence, why would you say all that nonsense? Like, if there wasn't some truth in it.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would even say that. And to me, I mean, you could see him smoking it. Mm-hmm. Would I say he was high? I mean, you could maybe tell he was a bit under the influence, but not enough to think that he would just start rambling off about something that's untrue, supposedly. So I don't buy
no,
that
it doesn't sound very convincing to me.
No, definitely not. Van der Sloot said that he still maintained that he left Natalee on the beach. And as I just said, I watched it and I have to say it sounds like he was gloating and can't believe he got away with it at that point. So on the 24th of November, Fox News aired another interview with van der Sloot in which he alleged that he sold Natalee into sexual slavery, receiving money when Natalee was taken and later on to keep quiet. Van der Sloot also alleged that his father paid off 2 police officers and who had found out that Natalee had been taken to Venezuela. But again, Van der Sloot later retracted the statements made in the interview. Which, Fox News also aired part of an audio recording provided by Van der Sloot, which he said is a phone conversation between him and his dad, in which his dad displays knowledge of his supposed involvement in human trafficking, but apparently it was later reported that it was actually Van der Sloot lowering his voice to pretending to be his dad.
Ugh.
So I don't really understand what he was trying to gain.
I
don't really understand what he was trying to gain from that, because he was protesting his innocence, but then telling these stories about involvements in human trafficking.
He's not doing himself any favours.
No.
He's just making himself look more and more guilty. Mm-hmm. Whether it is or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's not doing himself any favours.
No, it just sounds a bit of a... I don't know. It just sounds...
It's bizarre.
It is very bizarre, yeah. So again, more searches were done to find Natalee, but nothing turned up. In March 2010, underwater searches were conducted by Aruban authorities after an American couple reported that they were snorkeling when they photographed what they thought might be human skeletal remains. Divers were sent to investigate, but no remains were ever recovered from that.
Right.
So I don't know what happened. I don't know if they clearly didn't find them, but they obviously thought maybe she was out at sea. So on the 29th of March, Vandersloot, guess this gets even worse, he contacted the Twitties' legal representative with an offer to reveal the location of Natalee's body and the circumstances surrounding her death if he was given an advance of $25,000 against a total of $250,000. So basically, he wanted $250,000, but if they gave him $25,000 up front, he was going to reveal the location of Natalee's body and the circumstances surrounding her death.
So then he's saying that he does know what happened?
Well, apparently. So after the lawyer told the FBI, they actually arranged to go ahead with the transaction. So on the 10th of May, Vandersloot had $15,000 wired to his account after receiving $10,000 in cash. So they did actually give him that advance.
Right. So did they give him the information?
Well, authorities stated that the information that he gave in return was false.
Oh,
because the
surprise.
Because the house that he had said that Natalee's body was located in had not even been built at the time of her disappearance.
So basically, he just wanted money then?
It sounds like it. Although it does explain that a little bit later. I think it does actually explain why this sort of came about, but not at this point. So, on the 3rd of June, Vandersloot was charged with extortion and wire fraud. So, an arrest warrant was obtained for that.
Right.
So, on the 30th of May 2010, 5 years to the day after Natalee's disappearance, Stephanie Flores Ramirez, who is a 21-year-old business student, was reported missing in Lima, Peru. She was found dead 3 days later in a hotel room, but the hotel room was registered in Vandersloot's name.
Ugh.
So he was actually arrested. He was in Chile at the time, and he was arrested there, and he was extradited to Peru, where he confessed to killing Stephanie after he lost his temper because she accessed his laptop without permission and found information linking him and Natalee's disappearance.
Oh.
So he was actually charged with first-degree murder and robbery. The Peruvian authorities allowed the Aruban authorities to actually interview Vandersloot in prison. So he reportedly admitted to the extortion plot when he asked about the... Because obviously, remember, they put out an arrest warrant for the extortion, but he hadn't been arrested at this point, and then he was arrested for committing the murder.
Yeah.
So they still want to question him about the extortion. So he admitted to that in prison, saying that he wanted to get back at Natalee's family. Her parents have been making my life tough for 5 years.
Then what about their lives?
Exactly. I mean, I'm not being funny, but he, to me, kept himself in the limelight by doing interviews and releasing books and stuff. So, of course, they're going to be thinking that he's got something to do with it. And he was the last person that was with her. What, you made your life hell?
Oh, what a wanker.
Totally. So, on January the 11th, 2012, Vandersloot pleaded guilty to murdering Stephanie and was sentenced to 28 years in prison. And it was decided in 2014 that once he's served his sentence in Peru, he will actually be extradited to the US to face the extortion charges. So I don't think he's going to be free anytime soon.
Well, good, because he just sounds like a right piece of work.
Mm-hmm. So in June 2011, so 6 years after Natalee disappeared, her father filed a petition with the Alabama courts to have his daughter legally declared dead, because, I mean, she's still not been found. The papers were served on his ex-wife, who announced her intention to oppose the petition, but a hearing was held on the 23rd of September 2011, at which the probate judge Alan King ruled that Natalee's father had met the requirements for a legal presumption of death. So on the 12th of January 2012, a second hearing was held, after which Judge King signed the order declaring Natalee Holloway dead. So she has been declared dead,
but still no body.
Still never found any of her remains. And as I said, sadly and maybe unbelievably, nobody has actually ever been charged in connection with the case. So none of those people have ever been charged with it. Which, after hearing all that, you've got to say it's quite unbelievable. I mean, I'm pleased. Well, I'm not pleased, because obviously another girl was died. But, you know, he did get...
That he got charged with the other girl's
murder. So obviously I'm not pleased because she died.
Well, you're pleased he got caught.
But I'm pleased he got caught for that. And then obviously he will face charges for the extortion, the money side of it. But still, I mean, it's still not, you know, for the Holloway family, I mean, where's the justice there?
If he had something to do with her disappearance, if he knows, why not just tell them now? I mean...
Well, he's ruined his life already.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I suppose it would mean even longer jail time, but...
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know how many years you would get for extortion. I don't know what that sort of sentence
Oh,
would
I don't
be.
know. No idea.
But I just can't believe that, especially after seeing that footage of him in the car, basically, gloating and saying all those things. I mean, I kind of believe what he was saying in a sense that I think, he fully well knows what happened to her.
Yeah.
He was definitely...
Sounds like it.
Whether he killed her or not, that he was...
Yeah, he doesn't necessarily have to have killed her, but it does sound like he knows what happened to her.
But then I suppose, he killed that other girl, so... I mean,
well, he might have.
He might have killed her, for all we know, but...
Yeah, we don't know, so we can't accuse
so it's
them
a bit
of
of so it is an unsolved one, actually, that I haven't done an unsolved one before. But
poor family, though, that must be awful.
Exactly, I mean, and that's it, not even a trace of her, do you know what I mean? Not even can't even get closure or anything, so... we have no idea where she is, or where her remains are. If she, I'm assuming she is dead.
Sounds like it.
I mean, it sounds like she's dead. I mean, there's no confirmation. I mean, the whole part where he said about the human trafficking thing, I mean, there was nothing ever followed up on that, so I don't think that was...
I suppose it is a possibility, but...
Oh yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, they have no idea.
But even if that's what's happened to her, it sounds like he knows. It just sounds like whatever's happened to her, he knows.
He fully well knows.
And whether it's him, or even if it's not him, if it's anybody else, just come clean. Just even anonymously, just say that,
the Cowpo brothers, I mean, they've obviously kept quiet as well, because, I mean, I'd like to think that they must have some idea. I mean, even if it was a case they've dropped them off at the beach, I mean, they've still... Yeah. They're still, involved in some way, but...
People are horrible.
And I do wonder, if he hadn't, sadly killed this other girl, he probably would have still been... I mean, he might have been the whole extortion thing, yes, he might have been charged with that, but I can't imagine that carrying a major sentence, as in,
Well, not like what murder does.
So, I mean, you could be still, free and... but I just,
Oh, well, so hopefully one day that'll be solved.
I know. So it's a good case to do, but also frustrating that there's no...
Unsolved ones are always frustrating.
So annoying, but...
You just want to know what happened, because, that poor family, that poor girl, whatever's happened to her, it's awful. She was just having a fun time, enjoying her...
Yeah, I mean, she sounded like a bit of a wild kind of...
Party animal.
She's
just enjoying loving life.
Exactly, I mean, she doesn't deserve to lose her life over that, or,
Not only going out and enjoying yourself.
Exactly, but... Yeah, no.
Oh well.
So that was my episode for...
Yeah, and hopefully one day somebody will come clean and say what happened to her.
I know, but well, I say maybe not, I don't know, I'm not convinced, I mean...
No, probably not, but it would be nice.
No, just for the family's sake, do you know what I mean? Closure for them at the end of the day, because they're never, as much as she's been declared dead, it's not really proper closure, is it, I suppose?
No, of course it's not. You haven't got a body to...
Exactly, you can't fully close, grieve for, you don't know what you're grieving for, whether, you've not got a body there or anything, so it's a shame, but there we go.
Oh well, thank you for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
So if you would like to follow us on Instagram or Twitter, we are...
crime_divers_pod.
We have a Facebook page.
Crime Divers Podcast.
You can email us at
crime_divers_pod@outlook.com.
We have a YouTube channel,
Crime Divers Podcast.
If you would like to join us on Patreon, it's patreon.com/crime divers. Bonus episodes, early access, and
our undying
all
love.
that good. Our undying love, all that good stuff. So, and if you like the show,
subscribe,
rate, review.
Thanks for listening. Bye.